Now, you live in a culture today where in the intellectual world, the truth claims of Christianity are not only rejected, but they are ridiculed. Many of us have had the experience of sending our sons and daughters off to college where they became the object of the sport of the professors who made fun of them in the classroom for their naivete because they embraced their Christian religion on faith and their religious commitment was not intellectually respectable. And so today it's open season on Christians who are accused of leaving their brains in the parking lot and of having to crucify their minds in order to embrace Christianity in the first place. Now, when you go to the finest universities in the world today, step into the philosophy department, and you might have philosophers who don't embrace Christianity whatsoever. But when they're examining the thinking, for example, of Augustine, or the thinking of Anselm, or the thinking of Thomas Aquinas, or of Jonathan Edwards, some of the greatest apologists that the church has ever produced, people may not agree with them or submit to their arguments, but it's rare that you find a serious scholar ridiculing Thomas Aquinas. People may not agree with him, but you cannot be intellectually honest even today without dealing with the apologetic arguments for theism set forth, for example, by Thomas Aquinas, because he is recognized as an intellectual titan in all of the history of theoretical thought. And in the Middle Ages, in the university system in Europe, where theology was seen as the queen of the sciences and philosophy her handmaiden, namely where philosophy was seen as the maidservant to assist the queen, people were atheists. There were atheists in the Middle Ages. But they were pretty quiet in the culture because the assumption was in the intellectual world that to deny the existence of God, for example, was to commit intellectual suicide because the case had been made so powerfully by Christian apologists at that time that people who didn't embrace the faith pretty much kept their mouths shut. And that's what Calvin is saying with respect to the task of apologetics, to stop the mouths of the obstreperous. That is, to put restraints on those who are unbridled in their ridicule of the Christian faith. Now remember, what Peter is saying here in the first century is that the Christians are being reviled. That is, they're being ridiculed. And he said, you need to be standing ready at every moment to give a response to that reviling and to that ridicule, that you might present the reason for the hope that is within you, where you're not just standing there saying, you know, I believe because I took a leap of faith and I jumped into the abyss and hoped that Jesus would catch me, but rather we are called as Christians to give solid answers to people who are raising questions and objections about the truth claims of Christianity, and against those who are ridiculing the faith, to put them to open shame.